Yeah, and, out of the three main events, which were, Jared Angle, World Title match, and Lethal Lockdown, the World Title match kind of felt like the one that was the least important, given the way the storylines were going, so, it is what it is.
I'll say this, I think with Jared Angle, you were kind of expecting a blow-off, and with Lethal Lockdown, I think there is sort of an expectancy of a blow-off, at least kind of the way that the current feud is set up, where if we're going to keep doing Immortal versus Fortune, we'll probably break down to more of individual feuds, like, say, maybe Hardy versus Kaz or AJ versus Bully Ray, instead of it being like the faction warfare thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I think with the world title, you felt like, okay, either it's going to be a successful title defense for Sting, or it's just going to be the start of a new story. There wasn't think about like a big event like Lockdown. You almost kind of get the feeling that there's going to be some finality to it. This is like the end of the big feuds, and it really didn't feel that way. And part of that's because certain stuff, was really fucked up last month.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The main event for last month's show was a disaster, to say the least. But, Sting retained the title, and Lethal Lockdown closed the show, correct?
Yes, Lethal Lockdown did close the show. It was not the best Lethal Lockdown. I mean, I've seen it done, again, it kind of goes back to like what I said about the escape match, where it's been done better, but, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I think, it's a pretty cool spot, especially Daniels doing the crossbody off the top of the cage onto Hardy and Abyss.
Is that where Hardy broke his arm?
Yeah, that's where Hardy, I think, thinks he broke his arm. They actually showed they did the whole spot where, like, everybody's down. They're just showing all the carnage. And, like, Hardy is sitting up against the guardrail outside. So even though there's a lock on that door, everyone always seems to break out. Hardy's, like, on the outside. You can tell, like, he's just holding his arm, like, ah!
Yeah.
So Hardy broke his arm. Or at least he thinks he broke his arm. I wouldn't exactly trust Matt Hardy's medical opinion. But again, I kind of like the ending. Where what happened was it came down to Daniels and Ray squaring off, and like Ray was just beating Daniels with a axe handle, and then he yelled, "This one's for AJ!" Because the whole catalyst for Daniels' return is AJ's injury. It's like, Bully Ray, you tried to end the career of my best friend. Well, I'm going to get payback for that. And then, of course, as soon as Bully Ray says that, you hear, "Get ready to fly," and AJ comes running in to make the save. Then you have, ironically, Robert Roode using an arm bar to beat Ric Flair. It's just strange.
It was like Kurosawa.
What?
Remember when Kurosawa came into WCW and was breaking people's arms doing that move? This was like 95. I don't know if anybody remember that.
Was this right before Starrcade did the WCW versus New Japan show or whatever that was?
Yeah, and he stuck around a little while after that, but then he became a jobber, which I thought was like, you just had him break Hawk's arm, and now he's a jobber. I don't get that, but okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I will say this, I do want to praise TNA for the way they handled AJ's injury, because they treated it pretty realistically where, okay, this guy gets power bombed off the taken out in an ambulance. You have Kazarian doing a whole thing where it's like, he got off. My best friend is in the hospital right now. I'm calling his wife. For the love of God, just give me a minute. And he wasn't back the next week, which I actually wish they would have dragged it out a little bit longer with AJ's return. Maybe have him return at Sacrifice.
Well, oh God, making a spot mean something? What a crazy idea. Everything's got to be like John Cena, where you get slammed through a spotlight and you come back the next night. And you don't have a mark on you.
Yeah, in honor of James, who I think is hung up again, I'll just say he was stumbling.
He was stumbling. He was selling it. Yeah, because it's not like he should be, dead or anything.
Yeah, for those that are kind of wondering what's going on, we bring up the John Cena spotlight incident a lot, and every time we do, James yells as loud as he can, "He was stumbling!"
Well, that's because of Andres, which, a former friend of the show, which, Andres is a cool guy. We just haven't had him on the show. And he kind of defended it, saying, well, he was stumbling. And I was like, oh, that's not good enough, buddy. Sorry.
I'll be honest, Andres was a nice guy. But if we were doing this as like a studio show where we all were in the same confined space, there were a few times I probably would have thrown something at him.
Well, he was like the ultimate WWE fan, and you're obviously the ultimate TNA fan. So yeah, it would have gotten ugly.
Yeah, well, I do remember one time he was on, and he talked about tag. We got into a discussion about tag team wrestling, and you said something like, well, Andres, if you're a tag team fan, you should check out TNA. They got Beerman. He goes, well, I can't check it out because I don't like that hexagon ring, and I went nuts. I think there was another time where he defended something, and I really loudly yelled, "It's wrong!" Trying to be like a game show buzzer.
Yeah. Good old Andres. Them were the days. But yeah, that was Lockdown.
Yep, that was Lockdown, TNA's pay-per-view of the month, and then next week, next is Extreme Rules, then we have Sacrifice, and that will be the month of May in wrestling.
I'm sure WWE will have another gimmick pay-per-view of some kind. Probably not Fatal 4-Way, because that one didn't work out too well. What was the other one? Over the Limit?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say this. What was wrong with just calling it In Your House? I get that, I'm not saying the sets were all that great, but it's look, you're going to have A pay-per-views and B pay-per-views. I wish they would go back. I would even say this with TNA. Go back to, go and have it be, okay, this month is, Sacrifice, but it's not one of our premier events, so we'll give you a break on the price.
That would be nice, because, the old In Your Houses were only $11, which I think, okay, if you're going to do this once a month, I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah. And also, it would put a certain importance about the shows if they cost more to say, well, okay, because this is a premier event, we're going to charge more for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Case in point, there were just too many damn pay-per-views. I think we can all agree on that.
Right. Well, there's too many pay-per-views, and there's not enough good storylines to fill them month to month. In this.
Oh, God. Well, look at Extreme Rules. It's WrestleMania Part 2. Only without the big marquee match, Undertaker and Triple H, and without The Rock. So I don't care.
And with Christian playing Edge.
Yeah, if Christian doesn't win the title now, can we just say that WWE has absolutely no faith in him? It's okay, you look at the SmackDown brand. There is nothing over there without Edge. I think Christian can be champion of that brand. Because there's nothing else over there.
Oh, apparently next week is actually the draft, which I really don't want to talk about the draft because here's what's going to happen. Some guys will trade shows and they'll still work both of them. There's no separation.
The brands don't matter.
Yeah. But apparently the plan is for a top-level Raw babyface to change brands to SmackDown and fill Edge's spot. So I think Christian will just be in there and they'll try to sell the whole, he's doing it for Edge, he's doing it for his buddy, and Alberto will win the belt.
Yes, because I've already said it. I don't have any faith in Del Rio, but again, you look at the SmackDown brand, it's well, who else is there? And I guess if they're going to move a top Raw babyface, it'll probably be Randy Orton.
Yeah. We talk about a lot with TNA. They need to bring some freshness into their division. Same way with WWE. The one guy they can kind of maybe use is Sin Cara, but right now that's still an experiment. It's going to be. I like Sin Cara. I really enjoyed that tag match. I cannot believe I have to say I enjoyed a John Cena match, but Sin Cara actually helped me enjoy that match. But it remains to be seen how over he'll actually get.
I like the way they're promoting him. I'll say this: one of the criticisms I had of the way they brought in Danielson, and we bring this up a lot, they brought him in, and then Michael Cole went nuts on commentary talking about how bad he is, how he doesn't deserve the spot, and they basically made it sound like the WWE was doing him a favor by giving him a job. They weren't, like, proud to get him, even though he had this big independent reputation, was this, very accomplished outside of the WWE. And they didn't play it up. They didn't play it up like they were proud to get such a great talent. Here, with Mystico, they're basically telling us, hey, look who we got, and he's awesome. And he's with us now. And that's the way they should act when they pick up somebody.